All right, commissioners, if we can bring our meeting to order. Good afternoon and welcome to the Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation. My name's Nicole Battle. I am subbing for our Honorable Chair, Harry Spikes. I call this meeting to order on April 9th, 2024 at 1:08 p.m. Sorry. I know. It's been a long day before I even got to you. I would now like to start our roll call starting from my left. I will begin. Nicole Battle, Commissioner representing Nonprofit Housing Development. And please remember to put on your mics when you announce. Introduce yourself.
Eric Holcomb, Executive Director.
Good afternoon, Councilman John Bullock, City Council Rep to the Commission.
Peter Morrill, Commissioner.
Tamara Woods, DHCD Representative.
Catherine Good, Commissioner.
Gary Rodwell, representing Coppin Heights CDC and Preservation Community.
Sarah Langmead, Commissioner.
Myra Mendeleev, Commissioner.
Jill Dennis, Commissioner.
Ann Powell, Commissioner representing Greater Baltimore Committee.
Kapal Lin, Commissioner.
Garrett Power, Commissioner representing the Baltimore City Historical Society.
Staff.
Lauren Chiswick, CHAP staff.
Tyreek Charlouse, CHAP staff.
Anthony Stewart, CHAP staff.
Eddie Leon, CHAP staff.
Great, thank you. The mission of CHAP is to enhance and promote the culture and economy of Baltimore through the preservation of buildings, structures, sites, and neighborhoods that have aesthetic, historic, and architectural value. CHAP's goals include preserving historic architecture and monuments, reclaiming broken neighborhoods, preventing demolition by neglect, and integrating our city's past into its future. We have a few housekeeping items. One, commissioners, when speaking, don't forget to turn on your mics. When not speaking, turn them off. We had a copy of our agenda. If you have not signed up to testify or sign the agenda or sign-in sheet, please let us know. Depending on the number of individuals who would like to speak, we usually give 2 to 4 minutes, and then 30-second signal when it's about time to sit down. When you are called to speak, please give your first name and your last name so that it can be entered into the record, and also who you are with. All right. I would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I'd like to make a correction.
Yes, sir.
The minutes indicate that I missed a vote, and I was here. And I assume I did miss the vote. It's the well, it's the vote on one of the dates. Last vote of the day looks like 921 and 933 of East Baltimore Street.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make those changes. Any other changes or additions? Hearing none, I would like to make a motion to adopt the minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I am
Karen?
abstaining since I had to leave early and wasn't here for most of it.
Okay,
I have to abstain as well. I wasn't here. I forgot.
gotcha.
You weren't.
All right. All right, hearing none, minutes passed. Let's see. All right, I would also like to ask for a motion to approve the final agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Pass. Let
Who was
us
second?
Me.
Thank you.
let us begin. All right. This is so weird, but so good. The first and only item on the agenda today is 831 North Calvert Street. Anthony?
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Like you said, this is going to be 831 North Calvert Street. We're presenting it as Anthony Stewart. Applicant is Peter Bosworth, and the owner is Be More Clubhouse. So this property is located in the Mount Vernon Historical District, which encompasses 40 blocks surrounding the Mount Vernon Place. The period of significance for Mount Vernon Historical District extends from 1810 to 1945. The property is situated on the southeast corner of the intersection of Calvert and Reed Street. It is a two-story firehouse which was constructed in 1908 for the Baltimore City Engine Company 16. Here are some aerial views from the west, south, the rear of the building, and north. The Calvert Street facade is a single bay with a large arch doorway which opens up to Calvert Street, surrounded by keystone molding which rises from the stone belt courses atop of the stone foundation. On either side of the entry are massive two-story brick pilasters rising to a stone entablature. The second story houses three double-hung 101 light windows resting at a single-story sill. An elaborate hooked ladder carved partially fills the space extending up from the keystone. The south and east elevations are utilitarian with brick running bond on the south elevation. There is a two-story stairwell with clad ephes, as you'll see in further pictures, with a curtain wall on the west elevation that faces North Calvert Street. The stairwell is approximately 8 feet shorter than the firehouse and is set back from the facade of the firehouse about 30 feet. A mature tree is in front of the stairwell, which kind of decreases the visibility of the stairwell. The Reed Street facade spans 5 bays. It's also highly ornate facade. The end bays replicate the North Calvert Street elevation, but with less detailing. The middle 3 bays of the elevation features windows openings on the first and the second floor. So, a little background. This property has undergone several reviews by CHAP staff and 2 reviews by the commission for various exterior work, including window and door replacement, mechanical work. Pertinent to this review, commissioned April 2001, a concept approval of the exterior stairwell on the south side of the building with colors and materials to be reviewed and approved by CHAP staff. However, there is no record of the final staff review, nor are there records in CHAP files for the permit system regarding the construction of the new stairwell or the ephes that is currently present on the exterior. The applicant proposes to construct an elevator shaft on the south elevation of the building. This elevator will enhance the accessibility of the existing 2-story building for occupants and visitors. The proposal is to construct the addition adjacent to the existing stairwell on the south elevation, built closer to the primary elevation of North Calvert Street. The applicant explored constructing the addition on the other side of the stairwell towards the rear of the property, but doing so would be significantly impact the circulation and remove several dining tables in the area on the interior. The 2-story shaft will have a footprint approximately 6 foot by 7 feet and will extend a few feet higher than the existing stairwell. The elevator shaft will be positioned on the side of the building adjacent to the existing stairwell with a 6 foot by 3/4 inch inset from the original stairwell to accommodate the downspout that will empty onto North Calvert Street. The proposed elevator shaft will be concrete block clad ephes to match the cladding on the adjacent stairwell. There will be no windows on the new elevator shaft. It will be set back from the facade of the building by 24 feet, and it will have ephes cornice replicate the existing simple wood cornice on the stairwell. So this is the proposed location of the elevator shaft. It's gonna go in front of the current stairwell, and the windows and stuff will be, all that are on the current stairwell will be demolished. Application of the guidelines. Staff incorporated 1.15 accessibility. The proposal meets this proposal, so the proposal meets the goal of providing barrier-free access to the upper floors of the historic building. However, as currently proposed, the elevator addition isn't fully compatible with the historic character of the building and materials and detailing. While the guidelines recommend landscaping to screen elevators, in this case, the construction of the elevator addition may necessitate the removal of a mature tree and currently serves as a visual shield for the existing stairwell. If the tree cannot be saved, the applicant will be advised to explore other landscape options. 1.17 alterations and additions. Excuse me one moment. Sweater. It's hot. All right. So the proposed elevator addition largely meets this guideline as it has a modest footprint and will be located on a secondary elevation. This is a utilitarian elevator shaft lacking fenestration. The addition will be visible from the primary elevation as it is set back only 24 feet from the primary elevation. It's largely compatible with historic firehouse in massing height, form, and scale, but would better comply with the design guidelines if it matched the width of the exterior stair tower, while the height of the elevator addition is not perfectly aligned with the cornice of the firehouse. This discrepancy likely won't be noticed by the setback. Staff also applied 2.1. The proposed addition could better meet the guidelines by adding some additional fenestration that visually relate to the firehouse, such as a cast stone base and a cornice that matches the height of the cornice of the firehouse. Though it can be simple in design, the goal of adding these details is to break up the massing of the two-story addition by giving it a base, middle, top, like the firehouse. 2.3. The addition largely meets these guidelines as the scale and form of the new elevator shaft is subservient to the main building. It will better comply with the guidelines if it matched the width of the existing stair tower and if the cornice lengthened to be more with scale with the firehouse. 2.5 materials. The proposed EIFS cladding does not comply with design guidelines. While the existing stairwell is clad with EIFS, there is no record of CHAP approval of this material. Additionally, was constructed 20 years ago prior to the adoption of CHAP's current design guidelines. EIFS is not a traditional material with the historic district, and the use of it on an addition that fronts a primary elevation could detract from the overall historical character of the district. Brick is the dominant material on this firehouse and in the neighborhood at large. Given the visibility of the proposed addition on North Calvert Street, staff recommends the addition should be clad with brick. So, neighborhood comments. The ARC and the MVBA were presented with materials and plans, and their letter was uploaded to the Wix site, which I received yesterday. So the analysis, the location, scale, and massing of the proposed addition is largely compatible with the design guidelines, though staff believes that there are some necessary updates for it to fully be compatible with design guidelines. First, the addition should be widened to match the width of the adjacent stairwell as proposed, and the cladding and detailing of this utilitarian addition does not comply with the guidelines. The addition, visible from North Calvert Street, and thus it requires more compatibility with the primary facade of the firehouse. This addition would better comply with CHAP guidelines. In addition, I lost my place, excuse me. For instance, the addition of the cast stone base and lengthened cornice matches the height and the cornice on the firehouse would give this blank box addition a base, middle, and top, and would blank the addition with more compatible and sympathetic character of the historic building. So the recommendation, staff recommends to approve the design with the following conditions. The additions that will match the width of the existing stairwell, will be clad with brick, and will incorporate more detailing such as cast stone water table, a taller corners, in order to be more visually compatible with the historic firehouse. Final details should be reviewed by staff.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Anthony? All right. Hearing none, I have 4 people signed up, I guess, to provide, bless you, testimony. Peter Bosworth.
Yeah, I guess the 3 of us are together.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Peter Bosworth, and I have listed myself as the applicant, but the real applicant is our nonprofit, Be More Clubhouse. And I'm a volunteer there and on the board, so I simply put my name down so Anthony and I could talk over the last couple of months and not have confusion about where email should go or communication. So Be More Clubhouse is a nonprofit that's been in the city about 15 years, and our mission is to help mentally ill adults. And we run a day program, meaning we're open from essentially 8:30 to 5, and we usually have 40-odd mentally ill adults in our program every day, plus staff. And we've been operating in this building for about 3 years. We've been looking for a home in Mount Vernon, I really think ever since we started 15 years ago. We've always moved into sort of pretty bad locations, I'd have to say. We're a shoestring, bootstrap organization, and it takes a lot of volunteers like me and others to keep it going every year. We were lucky enough during COVID and some of the economic hardships to be able, with the help of M&T Bank, to purchase this building, which was in foreclosure. And we've been very happy there. Our members have been very happy there. We knew when we purchased the building, we would need an elevator. A lot of our members have some physical mobility issues. It's a long climb in a firehouse. It's 17-foot floor to floor. It's not your average 9 or 10 feet. So it's pretty important. And we started saving for this about 2.5 years ago. We have scraped together enough money to be before you today. And we're looking to get a building permit. We have some contractors that have donated some of their efforts, and we think we can get this done. So that's who your applicant is, and I think that's pretty important. The city greatly appreciates us. Mayor Scott and our councilmen have visited us several times. We have a lot of support. We do a good job for sure. So the issue at hand today is the elevator shaft. And I'd just like to introduce who we have here before I spend another minute. So this is Al Berry, and I think you may be familiar with Al, but Al was nice enough to work with us on this for the last 3 or 4 months to kind of help us. I felt over my head, quite frankly. I've never done this kind of thing with CHAP or anything. So Al's been very nice to help us out. And then our executive director is Jason Woody, who is very able to talk about anything we're talking about today, and especially what Be More is, if that's of more interest to you. But I would say, first of all, Anthony has been really helpful, especially with my lack of knowledge and protocol. You know, he's kind of held my hand through this. Obviously, we have a different thought about it at the end of the day than Anthony does on some of these issues, but I want to thank you, Anthony, for helping me, because I needed it. Once again, we're shoestring, and the issues we're going to talk about today are basically revolving around money. I'm not going to say we have an economic hardship specifically, because we've managed to scrape together enough to build an elevator, so we have some resources, but we have to really limit them, and anything we put into an elevator, we take away from our program, and we're all about our program. We're here doing this elevator, attaching it to an existing stairwell. As Anthony pointed out, it is ESIS. I want to point out we had nothing to do with that stairwell, which I guess was illegal or whatever. But so that's an existing condition. But what we're really, in my mind, doing is we're moving the stairwell 6 feet closer to the street. That's essentially what we're doing. We're moving that wall 6 feet closer to the street. The wall now is windows and ESIS, so we're going to move it 6 feet closer. I believe you mentioned 30 feet or something from the front of the building. The street's further away. The issue really is visibility more than anything else. I mean, ESIS is a safe material. There's no public health or danger here. It's aesthetics. Can we go to the slide that showed, it shows the street view with the trees. It's labeled building slide view from street. It was probably one of the earlier ones, maybe?
This one shows a little bit, but.
It was a view taken on Calvert, south of the building. Might have been aerial, might have been a little aerial. It showed yeah, okay, that's fine for there. But one thing notable about the slide is you cannot see the stair tower, or a lot of it, correct? That is a tree, deciduous, and it's not in bloom. 2 months from now, you'll never see that side of the building for most of the time. There are 2 other birch-type trees. You can see one of them in the slide, but that happens to be very well screened. From the one elevation, you'll see it, which is moving north on Calvert as you walk or drive by. So in terms of the actual impact on eyes, I would argue that while trees are in bloom, it's minimal. It's not minimal as you look at it right now, but there's still some screening there. But at the end of the day, what we're proposing to do is just move that stair tower, the wall 6 feet closer. That's really it. The idea of putting brick on it strikes me oddly aesthetically. I'm going to argue to you anyway. It's just my own opinion. But right now you have 2 basic materials on the building: an aged brick that's over 100 years old, and then you have the ISIS painted as that is. ISIS, sorry, I keep saying that the wrong way. But anyway, to me, you could argue that it's kind of a distraction to introduce a third material. So if we brick it, it can be bricked, of course, but I would think that's not going to look like the same brick. One can get close, one can try to match best you can. It's still going to be, it's going to catch your eye if you should even see that face as a different material. So I think there's something to be said for just continuing the wrap that's already there. And as in regarding, and I don't have the points up that you mentioned, but I think you mentioned raising the foot or what'd you call it? The what?
Water table.
Water table?
Yeah.
Is that the little front piece? Oh, okay. So my only thought about that, and we do show a little bit of brick there, and we're happy to raise the brick, but seeing how this is 30-odd feet back, to have something that replicates the bottom base condition on the firehouse, which is a very elegant, I think, an attractive thing, to all of a sudden have that 6 feet of that width pop up in the middle of nowhere 30 feet away would draw your eye to it, and I don't think that would be a good thing. It would just look like some odd little segment stranded out there. I think the idea to make a gesture to, somehow raise something to that horizontal line, which is still 30 feet away, not relating to anything on the side it's next to, we'll be happy to do that. I mean, that's something that's very affordable, and that's reasonable, and we'll do that. I'd propose we certainly be happy to do that. In terms of the bringing the tower, the proposed elevation flush with the existing thing, I think that's something we can do. It's just framing it out a little farther, so I don't think that should present a complication. But it's the facing it with the brick would be pretty expensive, and I just would ask you to consider maybe that it's not really a big bang for the buck for the public, and what the mission is of preserving that view. I won't argue what was previously talked about in terms of the Netherlands and the Rotterdam concept, where the more mixed we are, the better and all that. But, it's not a bad thought in a way. So anyway, I've probably spoken too
And the
much.
height, he wanted to raise the height up to of the elevator tower itself, just for.
You want to raise the height of the stair?
No.
I'm sorry, what do you want to do?
Should we wait until comments? I mean, let's wait until comments.
Okay.
Is there
Thank you.
is there anyone else presenting for the owner?
Unless there are any questions for the program manager, I'm Al Barry, and I was helping Be More Clubhouse become established in initially one location in Mount Vernon, and that didn't work out because of cost. And then we found this building, which was perfect, and it's been a great addition, we think, to the neighborhood. When we talked to the neighborhood, I haven't seen their letter, frankly. They did email us with some ideas, and we had some conversations, but as I understand it today, staff is generally in approval, but they're recommending brick versus EFS, and because their guidelines don't recommend EFS, we're before you. We would ask you to approve our material based on the conditions that are there at the site. We believe we absolutely can meet the guidelines, many of which the staff has agreed to as well in terms, and take into consideration that this is set back substantially from the street. It has existing landscaping. Your guidelines allow for additional landscaping if you would want us to do it. I think this is something that we could frankly work out with your consent with the staff. Anthony's been very helpful. I think if you can approve the EFS, and we will add the water table, we would propose it in brick, makes sense. We can reduce the size of it or match the other one. But I agree that if you're going to look at adding something to an existing EFS stairway, whether it was approved by CHAP or not, it's there. And it would be more jarring to introduce a third material there. So that's what we would recommend today. The commission approve our application, but with the use of EFS, and then we can work out the design, the actual designs of scoring, how high it can be to match the existing cornice. Those are all doable. So that we'd ask your indulgence on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else speaking for the ownership applicant?
Just if there are any questions about the program, my name is Jason Woody. I'm the executive director of the clubhouse. Just if there's any questions about the program or a budget, or project budget or organization's budget, I'm happy to answer those, but that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant? Commissioners?
I do have a question, and I don't know if you can answer it without your architect. I'm wondering if the reason that the elevator depth, the dimension to the south line doesn't match the existing stair is because you're not allowed to bring the downspout down. Like, is there a property line issue there? Why those two wall surfaces are not flush on the south side of the elevator and the stair?
I would suspect.
Yeah, come to the microphone, please. Yep.
All right.
State your name too, sir.
Peter Bosworth with Be More Clubhouse. I would suspect the answer is that the elevator shaft is a very engineered and precise structure.
The interior of it is, yeah.
As you probably know, and I don't, but I'm suspecting that. And so the tolerances are very, very fine. So that is built and shown as it needs to be. If we make it wider, as Anthony's suggesting, I assume what we're going to be doing is framing out a false wall against that. But I'm not aware of any other reason
Yeah,
why
I
it
just didn't know
couldn't
if that
come
was,
out.
if space was being made for the downspout as the driver there. But maybe it's really just, here's the footprint of my
Okay.
elevator.
Yeah, also, I just want to mention that the way the shaft is being, the foundation's being handled, we don't anticipate any issues for the tree. The main tree next to it is about 9 feet from where the existing elevator will sit. It may be a few inches less if we bring it out another foot or whatever we have to do. And we're going to only be going down a couple of feet. It's a relatively shallow pit. This elevator we're using is called a Lula. Do you know the name? Lula? Whatever. Anyway.
Could use limited
Yeah.
access.
It's basically to us the cheapest elevator out there. So that's why we got it. And it takes about a minute to get over 17 feet. So it's not fast, but it'll get our job done. But anyway, one of the benefits is it has a very shallow pit, so that'll help with the tree. Thank you.
Well, I don't know. Does anyone else have questions? I have some thoughts, but.
I thought there was a fourth person signed up.
Yes,
Yes.
MVVA will be, yeah.
Do we have any more questions for the applicant, though? No? All righty. Anna Marbury? Thank you.
Hi. It looks like it's already on. My name is Anna Mabry. I'm with Mount Vernon Belvedere Association, and I'm standing in for Scott Ponemon, who's our Architectural Review Committee chair. And he is the one that sent the letter this morning. And I just was going to paraphrase his recommendation. I don't know if we have a picture of it, but you could look at the one that the original picture earlier, if that helps. So he had initially suggested putting a stack of windows along the elevator shaft to look like the windows on the stairs, and was working with the team to come up with an acceptable visual, design. And they submitted a design with 4 windows, but on reflection of these, he believes that it would just be more interesting or more appropriate to have a recessed rectangle. Yep. And then the brick at the water table and the frieze at the top. That's basically it.
Are there any questions for Anna? Thank you. Thanks. So I guess now we can, if commissioners have discussion regarding the proposal.
I'll go first.
Thanks.
So, a couple things. In general, I'm not a fan of EIFs, but in this instance, I do think that introducing a third brick, no matter the attempts to try to get it to coordinate with the existing brick, would make it unduly complicated and look weird. I just don't think you're going to be able to get a match. So in this instance, and specifically because it is already in place on the stair tower, in my opinion, it's one of the rare acceptable instances where it can work. I do not see the point of trying to do something at the bottom for the water table, honestly, because while in elevation it, reads off of the front facade, in reality, when you are approaching the building, unless you're looking straight on, you're not really going to see that because the side of the building doesn't have any kind of indication of a water table. Can you go up to the photos, Tyreek, of one of the photos there of the side of the building?
Can I ask for clarification? When water table is used in the staff recommendation, is that a reference to the bottom or the top?
The bottom.
It is, okay.
Yeah, so, where'd the photo go? Okay. So my point is, there's nothing on the side facade, and so if you just kind of stick something here, I think it would look pretty odd. So while in elevation, it reads, oh, hey, that's nice, but when you're experiencing the building in 3D, you're never gonna see that. So, so this kind of configuration where there isn't something trying to mimic that, I think works for this instance. I don't know how others feel. But the last point, which is the large flat facade, I do agree with doing something there. A large recessed rectangle or something like that seems to make sense to me, or breaking it up somehow. But I think that's all my comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike?
It's some of the similar comments, but
Is your mic on?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it is on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think, in my opinion, I think, typically, I think when we're looking at additions, they should be simplified as much as possible and to steer its source contrast between the existing building. So the existing building, obviously, is in a very ornate and the building that's wants to be sort of celebrated. So I think an addition that's on the secondary elevation, not a primary elevation, I want to correct that, should not be detailed in such a way. I think it needs to be as simple as possible, in my opinion. I think there shouldn't be anything additional to anything that would try to think that this thing is supposed to react to that to a false sort of a historical connotation back to the building. So I personally do not think it needs any other detailing beyond being an EFS box. I think EFS is fine on a secondary elevation in a historic district. I would recommend, if I would do anything, would be to simplify the form. So if you could make the box just a singular box, so just match the elevation of the parapet of the meaning the existing parapet to match the new parapet, and just make that a simple box.
When you're saying match, you mean the stair or the firehouse parapet?
No, just the stair. No, just the stair and the elevator, if you can, if it's possible. I would just make that one box as well as fleshing out the south facade. I mean, I think you're inches away, so I think that's an easy fur out. But and then I think I would select a different color. I think that brick color or the EFS color that's existing now is trying to match up to brick there. I think just find a contrasting color. So the existing building can be its own, and then this addition is just something that's just attached, and it's as minimal as possible, in my opinion. The only thing I was going to add is if you were to add any articulation on the box, I would do it pragmatically. I think typically with EFS you do control joints, so I would add a few control joints there anyways, because otherwise you're going to have cracking anyways. But in my opinion, I would go for approving the massing if it was solidified into a single clean object, and then just keeping all the details off of this building and just keep it a simple EFS box. That's my opinion.
We like the color down here.
So, Commissioner? Yeah.
I completely agree with Kapow, and I would say that a lot of the secondary elevations and bumps and things that happen on the non-primary elevations in Mount Vernon are very frequently brick with stucco on top, and so that's why I agree that the EFS as a material choice is fine, and I agree the color. The color should be considered because it does look brick. But it is sitting here on this big blank, unarticulated elevation in common bond with a cheap brick on it. So therefore, there is nothing about this that suggests to me that it needs any more monumentality than a box. It's a box. Just let it be a box.
Thank you.
I agree with the comments that Commissioner Lynn and Powell made, and so you're going to have to, just to give a little detail there, you'll have to raise the stairwell parapet to match your elevator, and most likely because your elevator is going to have a particular overrun height.
Yeah,
I think we can continue to work that out at the staff level. I just don't think that should be, that's the tail.
I guess I was just trying to explain what make it a simple box and one box kind of means.
I think that, we know that the elevator overrun is what's driving the height of the elevator box, and that's going to be higher than
I didn't mean that they should lower it. If they need to, they'd have to
raise the stair, but is it really,
Right,
is
but
that
it's-
juice really worth the squeeze?
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not good.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I was trying to talk, but I was having problems pushing a button. It's very difficult. I think the elevator volume, once you bring it out to meet the same width as the stair, you won't really see the lower stair roof behind there. I would think, just from a budget concern perspective, I don't know that it's that critical. Personally, it's and Sarah was saying this too, we think I was just saying, we think it's a great brick matching color if that's the intent. I don't think that we can really speak to say paint it one color or another. So I just don't want to opine on that too much.
Yes, Commissioner.
Just a small comment. First off, I just want to say I appreciate the work that you do. And this is just a small comment. I don't want to hinder anything. I pretty much agree with all the comments. I think it's great. Just adding to the simplicity about the heights of the elevator shaft and the stairs. The only comment I would say with raising the stair is sort of, I get a little bit of a vibe of an addition onto an addition. That's all I'm saying is that visually I get a little bit of that. That's my only comment about if it were worth it to raise the stairwell. That's just, like the cost benefit analysis. If it's not worth it, up to you. That's my only comment. But otherwise, I'm cool with, the material, the placement, everything. I think it's all good. That was just my only comment as far as that goes, that I get a little bit of vibe that way. I think I appreciate the whole streamlined single box of just, the one material wrapping. That was just my only comment as far as that goes. But otherwise, I pretty much agree with what everybody else has been saying.
Just want to note that I'm going to recant the parapet thing because it started something. Sorry.
And
Keep it stepped.
and maybe cite that the existing building block
It's
has steps in it already.
I'm afraid to say. So are we in a position now to actually vote? Are there any other comments, questions?
I think we have to craft a motion.
So let's craft a motion, Ann.
Guy, speak slowly, please.
Okay. All right.
I like it.
We recommend approval of the design as proposed with the following comments. The addition should match the width of the existing stairwell. Period. Final details to be reviewed and approved at the staff level.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Hearing none? Approved. Thank you.